Hello and welcome back to the Stronger Than Steel podcast. My name is John Keir, and joining me as always is Austin Davidson, and we have a guest today. It is our expert on the NFC playoffs, if you will. It is Will Lester. Say hello to everybody, Will.
How we doing, Steeler Nation?
So, we're going to be looking at the NFC Championship game today. Austin and Will, it's Atlanta and Green Bay. So let's take a quick look at the injury report. Austin, you want to fill us in on the Falcons injury report?
Yeah, sure. Jonathan Babineau, the defensive tackle, was limited on Wednesday and Thursday. Taylor Gabriel was limited on Wednesday and Thursday. Julio Jones said specifically that he's playing on Sunday, yet he did not participate Wednesday or Thursday. And Keanu O'Neal was a full participant on Thursday when he was limited on Wednesday. And that's about it for the Falcons. Do you have the Packers?
Yeah, the Packers have a much longer list this week, so I'm just going to stick to the players who didn't practice on Thursday. You got their receivers Geronimo Allison with a hamstring injury and Devontae Adams with an ankle. Safety Morgan Burnett has a quadricep injury, and let's see, James Starks, the running back, has a concussion. He's still in protocol, and J.C. Treader, the center/guard, still has a knee injury. So let's move into the storylines for the game. You guys, it's been a crazy month and a half for Aaron Rodgers here. Can he do enough on Sunday to take the Packers into the Super Bowl again? And do you think he's up against it too much this week? Austin, you go ahead first. Will, you can go after him.
I've picked against this magical man way too much. So the answer is yes. Aaron Rodgers can and will beat the Falcons. I don't know how with all the injuries to the Packers, but Aaron Rodgers being Aaron Rodgers will probably turn their fifth-string wide receiver into the greatest receiver in the league. He's not up against too much this week. The Packers defense has a rough time this week, but Aaron Rodgers should be able to shred the Falcons' poor defense. What do you got, Will?
Well, I have no reason to believe that this man can't do whatever he says he's going to do. He tells you 8 weeks ago he's going to run the table. You better sit down and listen, and he might do it. He proves time and time again that no matter what variables are put in front of him, he just steps up and plays. He makes plays to win games. We seen it last week against Dallas. Between the injuries, the inconsistent defense, I think every receiver on that offense is on the injured report except for Randall Cobb. So, it'll be tough, but I definitely think he can do it. He's a field general on the field, and he's just impossible to slow down. So he definitely could do it.
Well, as far as I see it, the short answer is yes. The last 2 weeks they've played better defenses than the Falcons have had to offer, and especially based on what he's done over the past 2 months. Aaron Rodgers can lead the Packers to victory in any week. His ability to make throws from the pocket is great on its own, but when you add into the equation his ability to make plays when he breaks the pocket, there is no doubt in my mind that he's the best in the game. However, even though I believe that he can do what it takes to win, I don't think that he will in this game. That's not going to be his fault when they lose, though. I think that it's going to be the Packers' defense that's not going to be able to make enough big plays to slow down the Falcons' offense. And like I'm saying, I think that Rodgers is going to make it close, but I think this week the Packers just face too daunting a task on the other side. On the other side of the ball, we have the Atlanta Falcons. They have the offensive firepower. We all know about it. But can their defense hold up against Aaron Rodgers and the Packers' offense? Will, why don't you go first this time, and then Austin can go after you.
All signs point to no. There's just no stopping this man. But I do believe this defense has the opportunity to be a better squad than the one the Green Bay Packers are going to be bringing to the field in Atlanta. It's just going to be one of those things where the stops are going to come at a premium, and it's going to be who can be the one to get to the quarterback quicker to get that particular offense off the field and get their all-star quarterback on the field. So I think this defense could do it, but it's obviously not easy sledding.
What about you, Austin?
I don't think there's a chance in any form. I think that the Packers' offense is way too good to be stopped, no matter how many injuries there are. The Falcons, if they want to win this game, are going to have to rely solely on their offense, in my opinion. What do you think?
I am in complete agreement with both of you. I don't think they have what it takes to slow them down at all. And as far as holding up, to me, that means maybe keeping a team under 24 points and around 300 yards. There's no situation I see that the Falcons are able to do that to Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Definitely not with the way Rodgers has played. And the only way I could see the Falcons' defense coming up with enough stops is if Vic Beasley just becomes a monster and just gets maybe 3 sacks of his own. But I don't think that not slowing them down doesn't mean they won't win, but as far as slowing them down goes, I don't think they have a chance. So now let's move into the previews. For the Packers offense versus the Falcons defense, what do you see that you like for the Packers, and what do you like for the Falcons defense, Austin? Getting into specifics here.
All right, well, I'm going to welcome Aaron Rodgers to Shred City because he's going to go to town on this defense who's struggled all year and have had to rely mostly on their offense for everything. Ever since losing Desmond Trufant, they haven't had an amazing corner to follow around number one receivers, at least not well. And here should be no different as the Packers have several wide receivers that are great. And I won't be surprised if Aaron Rodgers throws 5 touchdowns here. And just a little spoiler alert, it's going to be one of my bold predictions. But it doesn't matter if Jordy Nelson, Devontae Adams, Geronimo Allison, and Jeff Janis all don't play. He will make do with what he has. He's still got his tight end and Jared Cook, and he's just Aaron Rodgers. He's going to make wide receivers do amazing things. How about you, Will?
Well, to me, as crazy as it sounds, the key for this defense is going to be to keep Wonder Boy in the pocket so that the receivers are the ones that are going to have to make the plays to get open. Because, you get him moving around outside the pocket, the players gravitate towards him, and he just makes it happen. I think keeping him in the pocket and making sure that the receivers are the ones that are going to have to make the plays with him, that's going to be their key to do it. And they're just going to have to make these backup receivers that are going to be coming into the game step up and work with Aaron Rodgers to give them an opportunity to keep on the field and keep the running game of Atlanta and Matt Ryan off the field. So
that is a good point, Will. A lot of the backup receivers don't get as many reps as the more experienced and better receivers are going to get, so that's definitely a key in that respect. As far as what I have to say, based on what happened last week, it's clear to me that it doesn't matter if Jordy Nelson plays this week or not. I'm still convinced that Aaron Rodgers could make me a good wide receiver, even with everything I just said. I don't really think that highly of the receivers they had there already. Jared Cook was never much of a world beater in the NFL until I've seen him the last few weeks. I think he put together an incredible performance last week, and statistically, the Falcons don't have a good defense. In the Week 8 loss to the Falcons, Aaron Rodgers only threw for 246 yards, albeit with 4 touchdowns. I think that he's going to play a lot better on Sunday. When the Packers are on the field, it's going to be all about Rodgers, as we all know. They spread the ball to a bunch of different receivers, but I think the focus this week is going to be on guys like Randall Cobb and Jared Cook. I don't believe the Falcons are going to be able to do anything to stop him, but it's also worth noting that the Falcons have the 17th ranked defense, while the Cowboys and Giants, the last 2 teams the Packers played in the playoffs, had the 1st and 3rd ranked rush defenses, respectively. You can say whatever you will about the Cowboys' defense, which was probably inflated due to how good their offense was, but I still think the difference between the Packers winning and losing this game could actually be based on what Ty Montgomery does. He's played somewhat well the last 2 weeks, but in limited action. I think he could be a difference maker in this game, and as far as the Falcons, what their only hope is, I agree with you, Will. It's don't let Aaron Rodgers break the pocket. Hope Vic Beasley can come home and keep him contained, and hopefully your DBs can win a couple battles. On the other side of the ball, Austin, what's the Falcons' offense have to like against the Packers' defense this week?
Well, the Falcons should also go to town here, completely tearing up a secondary that's been riddled with injury all year. However, they won't fare as well, in my opinion. While the Packers' defense isn't the scariest, it's got more stars. Guys like Demarius Randall, Clay Matthews, and Mike Daniels. While 3 guys aren't enough, it's more than what the Falcons have, in my opinion, who only have like Vic Beasley and Keanu O'Neal and maybe Deion Jordan, I believe his name is. The Falcons may also be without their top receiver and their number 3 receiver, Julio Jones, while claiming to be playing Sunday, didn't practice on both Wednesday and Thursday, as I mentioned earlier. So I expect him not to be his normal self, regardless if he plays or not. And then Taylor Gabriel, as I said, was also limited Wednesday and Thursday. So similar to Aaron Rodgers' situation, he may have to make do with what he's left with, him being Matt Ryan. But I don't think he's the kind of quarterback like Aaron Rodgers to make wide receivers look good. I feel like it's quite the opposite. Still, though, Ryan has a dynamic duo of Freeman and Coleman who will be able to keep them in this game. And I think Freeman and Coleman are going to be the big difference makers for Matt Ryan here. What do you got, Will, for the Falcons against the Packers?
Well, honestly, it's about the same thing. It's the same reality for this side of the ball as it is for the Packers. This defense just doesn't have what it takes. They don't have the beef. They don't have the depth to keep up with this offense. Matt Ryan is playing on another level, and he has a huge advantage over this other team with the run game. I mean, Green Bay is going to have to step up early and stuff the run, or this offense is going to dictate who's on the field and when with that run game. And I think that's going to be the real key to this game is the time of possession. Who has the ball longer? Who has the ball last? And I think a huge part of that is having the ability to run the ball when you need to keep your offense on the field in those key third down situations. So obviously this defense, Clay Matthews, they got to step up and keep Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman from lighting them up all game long, because it's just not going to end well if they can't do that.
As far as what I think about this matchup, we both know, we've said it, it's pretty much the same thing. The Packers are not a very good defense to begin with, and then add into the fact that they've been dealing with a ton of injuries, it would really concern me as a Packers fan. I believe that the Falcons have the best overall offense remaining in the playoffs. They have a front runner at MVP at quarterback. They have a two-headed monster at running back who are both proven runners who can add an extra dimension in the passing game. And of course, they have one of the three best receivers in all of football in Julio Jones. The Packers would be overmatched anyway without their injuries. Much like the Packers offense, I believe the Falcons will have no trouble moving the ball and scoring on Sunday. The keys would be to make sure that guys like Julius Peppers and Ryan Matthews are blocked and contained when attempting to rush Matt Ryan. But the simple fact of the matter is the Falcons have too many weapons for the Packers' depleted defense to account for. Obviously, the health of Julio Jones is critical to the Falcons, but they still have capable receivers like Taylor Gabriel and Mohamed Sanu. Even without Jones, I still think the Falcons could score around 38 points. So, what are the keys to the game for the Packers, Will?
For the Packers, it's pretty simple. Keep the ball in your all-stars' hands. You got to do everything in your power to make sure Aaron Rodgers has the ball longer than Matt Ryan does. Again, time of possession is going to be the number one factor in who I think wins this ball game. Who has the ball longer? Because both of these teams are going to just light it up, and if they can keep the other off the field, I think that's going to be really key in winning this game. So for the Packers, Aaron Rodgers is obviously the key. Keep him with the ball as long as possible.
What about you, Austin? What are your keys to the game?
They got to take away the Falcons running back, too. Not just on the ground, take them away in the passing game. A lot of Matt Ryan's yards come on passes to his backs, and shutting them down and forcing Matt Ryan to throw to his wide receivers is going to be key for the Packers to have any stops on defense if they want to have any. So it's just all about those running backs. So what do you got?
Well, I think for the Packers, it's all about their defense. Well, for both teams, it's about their defense. But for the Packers, you have to be opportunistic and you have to pick your battles. With so many different weapons on offense, the Packers are going to have to choose the guys that they want to key in on this week. It's going to be either Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman or Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. If I had to bet, I think they try to slow down the ground game and try to force Matt Ryan to play like the MVP that he is supposed to be this year. If you can slow down the run and keep Julio Jones doubled up, you can hope that Matt Ryan will struggle to connect with his backs and his other receivers. What about your keys for the Atlanta Falcons, Austin?
Don't let Ty Montgomery get going. The Packers have been one-dimensional mostly all year, so allowing them to establish a run game with their wide receiver turned running back would make them unstoppable. While having Aaron Rodgers throw more sounds scary, it would be even scarier if you don't know what play is going to be called if you're getting gashed by both the rush and by Aaron Rodgers just throwing normally. What do you got, Will?
Well, it's going to be the same story for the other side of the ball for this team. You got to keep your offense on the field. Control the clock. For the Falcons, they got that run game. You have every opportunity in the world to go all over this defense. I mean, look what they did to Seattle last week, and I think Seattle is a far more stronger defense than the than the Packers are. So keep time of possession in your hands. Just keep running the ball as much as possible. You don't have to rely on Matt Ryan, but obviously he's one of the best weapons you got to keep the ball in your hands and out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, and I think they win this ball game if they do that.
For me, for the Falcons, the key for them would be to, like I said earlier, don't let Aaron Rodgers break the pocket. He is an elite-level quarterback when he throws from the pocket, and then when he gets out of the pocket, he's at his most dangerous. He's the best quarterback I think I've ever seen. Keeping Rodgers in the pocket gives the Falcons the slimmest chances, but it gives them a fighting chance on defense. because as we saw when he gets out of the pocket last week against the Cowboys, it doesn't matter if it's a 3rd and 20 with 30 seconds left. You can forget it. I mean, they may not stop him in the pocket anyways, but facing a man who's been playing better than any quarterback has over this kind of stretch, maybe ever, then you have to try to take away his greatest strength. And then, I mean, outside of that, seek divine intervention. That'd be my only suggestion there. So moving on to our X factors, do you have one player on each side of the ball that sticks out to you in this game as someone who might be able to be the difference maker? Go ahead first, Will.
Well, for the Packers on offense, it's going to have to start with Ty Montgomery. He needs to do everything in his power to keep this defense on their toes, for them to defend the run. If they can worry about defending the run, that's going to just open up more and more opportunities for your all-star to just be absolutely electric and light up this defense. And then for yourself on defense, I say Clay Matthews. He needs to be the premier backer that we all know he can be and stuff this run. Make this offense of the Falcons unbalanced so they can somehow slow down Matt Ryan. If they can make this offense one-dimensional, they have opportunities to make stops. And when they make stops, they get the ball to Aaron Rodgers and they control the ball all game long.
All right, what about you, Austin? What about the Packers' keys to win this week? Or X factors, sorry.
First off, I don't mean to spoil it, but I'm surprised none of us picked Aaron Rodgers, but okay. But I'm going to go with Jared Cook. Oh boy, was Jared Cook fantastic last week. Getting that spectacular catch right before the end of the game to get the Packers into field goal range. I'm pretty sure everyone thought that wasn't a catch at first, and he just managed to make an amazing play on the ball. But since he's a sure thing to be ready to go on this Sunday, I expect him to be one of the best receivers in this game. And if the Falcons don't keep him locked down, it's going to get ugly. Then on the other side of things, I'm going to go with a rather weird one. I'm going to go with Ladarius Gunner, the Packers' supposed number 2 cornerback, but I believe he's number 3. From what I've heard, he's been propelled into a role he wasn't ready for due to all the injuries to the Packers' secondary, and that he hasn't done so hot this year. This is why he's my X factor. If he could lock up whatever his responsibility for the day is, whether it's if he has to follow around Jones for a little bit, or if he gets Taylor Gabriel, it will really help the Packers out if he could get that under control and have a good game. He's been getting picked on a lot from what I've seen, so if he could step up, it would really help out the Packers. Who do you got as your X factors?
On offense, it's the same thing you had. Well, it's Ty Montgomery. He's only gotten 11 carries each of the last 2 weeks, and I don't think he'll get a ton of touches. He's not the kind of guy that's going to get 30 carries a game. But like I mentioned earlier, the Cowboys and Giants both had really good rush defenses this year, and the Falcons don't. So I think if Montgomery carries the ball, which I'm expecting he'll get somewhere between 15 and 20 carries this week, he'll have a lot more running room, and I think he could be responsible for a couple big plays on Sunday that could turn the tide. On the other side of the ball, it's the safety. Is Clinton-Dix? He's not injured, is he? No. He's healthy. He's leading the Packers with 5 interceptions this year, and he's going to be under constant fire as both the guy protecting the deep ball in the passing game, the guy who has to watch the over the top on Julio Jones, and in all likelihood, the last line of defense if the running backs Freeman or Coleman are breaking some long runs, which I definitely think is possible. He's going to have to be at his best to keep some big plays off the board. Moving to the other side of the ball, Will, what is your X factor for the Falcons?
Well, on offense, it's got to be Devontae Freeman. He's got to step up in the crucial 3rd down and short yardage situations to get the first down, to keep the drive alive, and to keep the other offense off the field. It's that simple. And on defense, I got the entire defensive line. Do what you got to do to control the line of scrimmage, because if you can control the line of scrimmage, that's the only way you're going to have any shot at getting at Aaron Rodgers and from keeping him lighting you up, which is all in likelihood going to happen. But if they can get into the line of scrimmage and control where he goes and where he has to throw the ball, I think that's going to be the key to getting some crucial stops to stopping Aaron Rodgers and the Packers.
What about you, Austin?
On offense, I got Taylor Gabriel. I think with Julio Jones not being 100%, it's up to Gabriel to try and make some magic happen. If he could break free, it may just be enough for the Falcons to lead this game victorious. And on the defense side, this is a harder one because, as I said, I don't really think very highly of the Falcons defense. And my body was saying Vic Beasley, one of their stars, but my mind said that the tackles he's up against are so good that I had to go with the rookie Keanu Neal. Neal has had a fantastic rookie season, and he could manage to keep receivers from getting too many yards, or he may even get an interception this game. Who knows? It could be a bad day for Aaron Rodgers if Keanu Neal has a big day. How about you, John?
Well, on offense, I'm going with Mohamed Sanu. Injuries to Julio Jones and Taylor Gabriel have a good chance to slow them down a little bit. Mohamed Sanu is probably going to be counted on to do a little bit more than he did typically in the regular season. He's a key when it comes to finding the first down marker, as only Julio Jones had more receptions for first downs than he did this past season. I think his performance on third down could be the difference between a win or loss for the Falcons. On defense, I am going to go with Vic Beasley. He is the only player on the Falcons with more than 4.5 sacks this season. Think about that. That's incredible. They had 34 sacks as a team. They would have 19 without Vic Beasley. So he's going to be the guy that's double-teamed all day in the run game and pass game. They're going to try to work him over, tire him out. He has to be the guy that can get after Aaron Rodgers, the guy that keeps him in the pocket, at least on one side of the ball. He needs to be as strong as he is on the first snap of the game as he is on the last snap of the game. He needs to have a career-type game for the Falcons to have any chance of slowing Aaron Rodgers down on defense. So now, it's the fun part. We got bold predictions. Austin, you want to give us your bold predictions for this game first?
Yep, as I mentioned earlier, I said that Aaron Rodgers was going to throw 5 touchdowns. Along with those 5 touchdowns, he's going to throw for 410 yards and no interceptions. So Aaron Rodgers is going to have a really great day. The other side, Falcons, Matt Ryan will throw for 305 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a single interception. And then my final bold prediction is that Matt Ryan will be sacked 3 times this game, 2 from Mike Daniels and 1 from Julius Peppers. Will, what are your bold predictions?
Well, for me, I don't see it as bold to be picking these quarterbacks to light it up, because I think we all think they're going to light it up. But for me, I think Freeman's going to rush for over 100 yards, and he's going to have a pair of touchdowns on the day. And my biggest bold prediction, I think, is we're not going to see a single interception in this game. I don't think we see either of these quarterbacks making too many mistakes on their side of the ball, and with these defenses being underpowered, I don't see anyone turning the ball over from a throwing standpoint. And I think A-Rod's going to have 4 touchdowns, and Matt Ryan's going to have just as many. So I think it's going to come down to who can run the ball better than the other.
For me, for the Packers, starting with them, I have Aaron Rodgers going for 380 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns. I think Ty Montgomery is going to put up 80 yards on the ground and have 2 touchdowns himself. I think Matt Ryan's going to go for 320 and 3 touchdowns through the air. And I think Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman are going to combine for 100 rushing yards and 120 receiving yards. They actually had 102 yards on the ground and through the air combined last week. So I think they have a good chance to replicate that through the air at least. I think Tevin Coleman's going to have 2 rushing touchdowns and Devontae Freeman is only going to get 1. So moving on to the final score prediction. Will, who do you think is going to win this game?
Well, for me, the team that wins this game is going to be the last one with the ball, and the last one with the ball is usually one that controls the clock better, and I think that's the Falcons. And I see them squeaking by 38-35 over the Packers.
What about you, Austin?
I have the Packers winning a shootout 41-30, and that's just about it.
All right, well, for me, I saw a stat that the Atlanta Falcons have averaged 35 points per game at home this season. And like we've been saying the whole time, there's no reason to believe that's going to change for them. And we definitely think the Packers are going to get their points too. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to keep it close, but I just think the Falcons have way too much going for them on offense to not score more than 40 points. I think Rodgers will keep it close, but the Falcons are going to win by a score of 45-41. Gentlemen, is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we wrap things up?
I'm good.
Okay. Well, if you want to check us out on Twitter and Facebook, our username or our handles are STS Podcast 1. If you have any questions about the show, please email us. Our email is strongerthansteelpodcast@gmail.com. We post our episodes on SoundCloud and YouTube. And if you want to give our buddy Will Lester a follow, his Twitter username is WillLester94. So we'd appreciate it if you followed him too. So thank you everybody for joining us today. And we'll be back tomorrow with our preview of the AFC Championship game. Will, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely, anytime.
All right, take care everybody.